VocalEye Almost Live Zoom. Keys to the Soul. An evening with pianist Chohee Kim. Hosted by Amy Amantea. With special guest Chohee Kim.
Welcome to this almost live event. My name is Amy Amantea. Most of you know me. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the associate director here at VocalEye. I'm your host for these almost live events, and I'm a member of the blind community and very proud to be in this space with you all, proud to be in friendship with you all, spending Wednesday nights with you all, talking with you all on email or phone or whatever outside of this space. It's just really nice to have community on a Wednesday night. So thanks all for joining us in the space. And thanks to folks who have sent us testimonial letters, whether those are handwritten, well, I guess they're typed, but written from the heart, whether they're voice recordings, video recordings. We collect those, we keep those, we listen to those, we read those, we send those to our donors and our funders, because we like to know if our programming is making a difference in your lives. And so all of those count, and all of those help us bring in funding season after season. So thank you all for sending those in, and thank you for supporting with your own dollars. We've had many folks donate to this space, and very much appreciate that. And if folks happen to be connecting on our YouTube channel for the first time, welcome to the VocalEye YouTube channel. And if you're a repeat visitor and you haven't yet clicked the like and subscribe buttons or share, we invite you to do that. We also invite you to click on our website and join our newsletters and find out what programming we have to offer week after week, because we don't just do described arts and cultural events. We do walking tours and lots of different things, parades and all sorts of different things. So check us out at the website, www.vocaleye.ca. VocalEye is broadcasting to you all from the traditional and unceded or stolen lands of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And like I do every week, I kind of try to cater my land acknowledgements a little bit thematically to what we're offering in this space, because it gives me an opportunity to do some research and to learn a little bit about Indigenous history and impacts on land and culture and all those kinds of things. And so since our feature presentation involves the piano, I thought I would look up maybe what some of the first instruments used by Indigenous peoples were, and do a little bit of research there. So I want to offer you what I've discovered. So the first types of instruments that were used by Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island, so that's North America, and globally, were often made from natural materials and deeply connected to the land, ceremony, and storytelling. These instruments served cultural, spiritual, and communal purposes. Different nations used different materials and created different instruments depending on their natural environment. So West Coast nations, so that would be largely where we are here in the colonial Vancouver area, made a lot of things out of cedar, and they in particular used cedar box drums, clappers, and rattles. So I'm going to share a little bit about each of those types of instruments. So drums are considered the heartbeat of Mother Earth in many Indigenous cultures and are often treated as living beings. So there's a couple of different types of drums. Frame drums are handheld, often one-sided, made with animal hide that is stretched over a wooden frame. Often this frame is made of cedar or spruce. Then they have something called a water drum, which is a small hollowed wooden drum partially filled with water to change the sound. And then they have powwow drums, which are large communal drums played by groups used in ceremonial gatherings. Then one of the other most common instruments to the Coast Salish peoples are rattles and shakers. So they are made from often animal hides or rawhide, and it's stretched and filled with stones, seeds, or bone. Gourds or turtle shells can be used, and antlers or carved wooden handles can be attached. So these are made to shake, kind of like I guess that would be like a percussion type thing. And they are often used in ceremony, dance, and healing rituals. And then there are flutes and whistles, so crafted from wood, bone, cane, or reeds, Indigenous flutes, such as a style that was used by so they call it the Plains style flute, are often melodic and used for storytelling, courting, and meditation. And whistles made from eagle bone or other bird bones had ceremonial significance, especially in sun dances. Other traditional instruments include things like a clapstick or rhythm sticks, and these were used for keeping rhythm in some coastal cultures. Bull roarers, used in spiritual ceremonies, they produced a whirling sound when swung on a string. And string bows in some of the indigenous regions were used. And so many musical bows could be plucked or struck for sound. So that gives you a little bit of context about some of the instruments that were created and used in ceremony and ritual and courting and meditation by the first Coast Salish peoples and indigenous peoples on Turtle Island. So that's North America. But I think, probably indigenous peoples all over, because they were all responding to the land and to their environment and creating music from the world around them, instruments and music from the world around them. So thought I'd share a little bit about that. I thought it was super interesting, and I can imagine each of these pieces in my hands as I describe them, and I can imagine how they sound with the way that the sound has been described. And some of the folks in the Vancouver area had come to last year's workshop with Deanna Jestrin, who offered us a drum circle 2 years ago, actually. And we used some of those wooden frame drums with the animal hides stretched over them. So you may have experienced some of those drums firsthand. All right, friends, it's Wednesday, June the 25th, 2025, and tonight we are proud to offer you our Almost Live event number 187. 187. The more I say these numbers, the higher they get, and the more impressed I am that we gather in community week after week. 187 times. Tonight's feature presentation is entitled Keys to the Soul, an evening with pianist Chohee Kim. So I'm going to just silence myself and welcome Chohee into the space. So let's give a big welcome to Chohee.
Hello.
Hello, Chohee. How are you this evening?
I'm really nervous, but I'm also really excited. So, yay!
Is the co-host now.
Oh well, I'm so delighted that you're joining us this evening. And why are you nervous?
I'm generally just a shy mess of a person, so.
That's really cute. A shy mess of a person. I love that. Well, you are maybe a shy mess of a person, but you are certainly a very talented musician and pianist. So I would love to know from you, before we share your beautiful music, what is it like? What's your origin story? How did you get started with the piano?
So I was 3 when my mom enrolled me in lessons. She, Asian parents, they just they just force you into things. And so I remember her being like, okay, so tomorrow's your first lesson. And I just remember looking at her being like, okay. And I hated it for the first 10 years. Like, I absolutely would not practice. Unless I had a recital, then I would just cram, like I'd be studying for finals. But otherwise, even if it was for 30 minutes a day, I just would not do it.
So you were that adverse to it, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So what changed things for you?
I think I was about 14, and it was a couple months after I joined the internet, like the Coldplay fandom. And I started making little piano covers of Coldplay songs. Back when Instagram had a 15-second limit for videos. I just remember being like, you know what, this is fun. I like making arrangements. And so, that's kind of how I decided, you know what, this isn't so bad.
Talk to me a little bit about your process of creating music.
That's a good question, actually. I usually just, if it's an arrangement that I'm making, I listen to the song so I get an idea of like what I'm working with. And so I'll listen to it, and then after a while I kind of have a scaffolding of what I want to work with, and then it just kind of build from there.
So when you and I had a chat before, you had mentioned to me that you don't read music.
No,
Yeah. So what's the reason for not reading music?
I just never learned. I didn't have the resources, and
Right.
I also just like don't have the patience. But I'd love to learn now. I regret not learning, but I'm really hoping to find something soon because it'd be really nice. I have a whole list of pieces that I want to learn, but no, they're really complex, and I think it'd be really challenging without Braille music. So
And so, not having Braille music, how are you learning these pieces? Who's teaching you? How are you learning them?
um, there's a great website called igorlightstheway.com, and he does an incredible job with. He makes these great tutorials that he describes everything, what he's doing, and it's just like it's so easy to follow as well. It's not too kind of. It's not so chock full of information that you're so overwhelmed. It's just there's a lot of great material there. So a lot of the classical pieces I've learned from his site, but I'm also taking lessons as well
Right.
through the conservatory. So
And is there a reason for classical? Is it just a natural love for you, or?
yeah, it took a while for me to learn to appreciate it, but now it's something I'd like to continue with. So,
That's really exciting. You've brought a whole list of I'm going to say a whole playlist of stuff, a real eclectic list. Some Coldplay that you mentioned that you make the arrangements for, some classical pieces. So we're going to play some of those this evening and invite our folks to ask you questions at the end and talk to you about process throughout the way.
okay,
How do you feel about that?
I'll try to answer as best I can.
All right, well that's fair. Let's start with the first song. It's a Coldplay song. This is one you told me was one of your favorites. Can you tell us a little bit about this song?
I actually made this arrangement for my friend because she was getting married in March, and so I made it for her because we were both Coldplay fans. We met in the Coldplay fandom about 4 years ago. I think it's like September 2020, so like almost 5 years ago. And since our friendship started with Coldplay, I thought, you know what, I should make something for her that's Coldplay related, and so that's how it came. And the lyrics of the song are really lovely, so and I think it fit well with the, her wedding. So yeah.
Did you get to play it live for her?
No, because it was all the way in California, so I just recorded a video of myself playing it for her, and I sent it.
Oh, that's a lovely gift. I really like that. Anytime you want to send me a gift of a recorded music, I will always accept.
Yay!
All right. Well, this one is called All My Love.
Yeah.
And let's have a listen to this. This one's just under 4 minutes, friends. So let's have a listen to All My Love. The accompaniment is done by our friend Chohee in the space, but it's a Coldplay song originally, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, Rick, when you're ready, hit play. That's really beautiful to listen to, Chohee. Talk to me a bit about accompaniment, because if you're new to music, and I think I confessed to you that I'm a bit of a musical Luddite, which is my own term that I'm coining. So break down to me for me what accompaniment actually means. And because I don't know this song as a Coldplay song,
Right.
how is it different from the original Coldplay song?
I don't know that it's that different from the original. I don't know. I try to make it sound as close to the original as possible. I don't really. I, yeah, I don't.
And is this one of the ones you found on Igor Lights the Way?
No, it's just one that because they'd released an album recently,
Mm-hmm.
and so I listened to it and I was like, you know what, this song is really beautiful. So I thought this would be the perfect one, and yeah.
How many Coldplay songs do you think you've done? Since you're such a fan.
Probably like 10 complete ones, and then there's a bunch of ones that I started but just couldn't figure out, or just kind of lost interest.
What do you do with those songs that you've started but have lost interest or just sort of get blocked? I want to call it like writer's block, but
Yeah.
a musical accompaniment block.
Right.
Do you, I don't know, put them in a file some way or come back and revisit them at some time?
I revisit them at some point, and then if I get frustrated, I'll just be like, you know what, I'm gonna scrap this, or just kind of put it on the back burner for now and come back to it later.
I'm sure there's no shortage of songs for you to be able to listen to and I guess recreate or reimagine,
Yeah.
or take these tutorials and try and finesse them as perfectly as possible. That must be really hard without having the guide of either Braille music or written music.
Right. We'll figure it out eventually, but I tend to get frustrated.
What do you do when you come up against those barriers? What's like how do you in those moments of frustration, how do you overcome that or think through that or not maybe? I don't know.
Um, Usually just sit there and cry about it, monologue for a little while, and then um,
That's what I do.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would sit and have a good cry and yeah. Okay. So we've got a whole playlist of stuff. So I say we play the next song. This is one of my favorite songs or melodies. Again, I don't have the language that you have for music, but this is Raindrop's Prelude. Tell us a little bit about this Chopin piece.
Um, I learned it because I really like Chopin, and that was one of the preludes that I've been wanting to learn for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found the tutorial on the website, and I was like, oh my god, like I was so excited, and so I kind of went insane and obsessed over it for like 2 months.
Wow.
I finished learning it, and then yeah, that's what happened.
What is it in particular about Chopin that you enjoy?
I just really like he's it's very lyrical music, and I love Chopin's melodies as well. He does a brilliant job of composing, and I wish I could learn more of his pieces.
It's a really naive question of me to ask, but I didn't look it up. What time period was Chopin composing in?
19th century, so the Romantic period. He was born either 1810 or 1811, one of those years, and so he was definitely one of the Romantic composers.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're a hopeless romantic, this one will pull at your heartstrings. Okay, why don't we sit back and have a listen for your musical talent in this Chopin piece? Like I said, Raindrop is one of my favorites. So this one's just over 5 minutes long. Let's sit back and have a listen to this. Rick, when you're ready, hit play. Really, really beautiful, Chohee. I'm for folks who don't have the privilege of seeing the video. These clips are either of your hands at a keyboard or at a piano. And I'm noticing in your square, your live square with the camera on, that you're actually playing your keyboard at the same time that we're listening to the recorded pieces. Can you maybe tell me why you're doing that? I think it's fascinating.
I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just kind of like, you know what? Why don't I just play along with the piece, see what happens?
Is there something in particular that you love about the piano? What is it that that brings you joy when you play it?
It's just a great stress reliever sometimes. Like, I remember coming home from school and I would just rage play. It used to be rage writing, but now that I don't have a brailler, it's piano. My poor piano gets abused, so.
Okay. Yeah, go on. Tell me more about that because I rage play, rage writing. I don't know what that is. So, what is rage play?
So back when I was really little, I would just run upstairs to my room after school, and then I'd like shut myself in my room and just write about everyone and everything that was making me mad that day. That's basically what that was. And then my brailler broke, and so I was like, well, that's unfortunate. So turned the rage onto the piano, unfortunately.
Or maybe fortunately,
Yeah, I don't know. It really depends on how you look at it.
when you rage play on your piano, or when you did, were you playing, like, were you making up your own melodies and songs, or were you just banging out stuff that you knew?
I was just playing stuff I knew, and purposely went for the darker melodies. You know, the Rachmaninoff Prelude, the C sharp minor one. Um, Stuff like that. I don't know.
That's very cool. Can you give us another sample of some rage play? This is live, friends. This is not recorded. Chohee is playing this live from her piano because she's got better audio than anybody else who's joined us with music. So yeah, if you want to treat us to another little dark rage play, I would love to hear it.
Sometimes I'll just like play through pieces, then I'll get frustrated and I'll just kind of rage quit and just be like, poor piano. And she's been through a lot. Um, yeah, I don't know.
What was that piece you were playing?
This is the 18th variation from the Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini by Rachmaninoff.
That's another very long title.
Yeah.
I had asked you once before, without the privilege of having this audience with us, why such long titles in these songs from 19th century, perhaps earlier, whatever. Um, I mean, I don't know. It just seems so stuffy. I don't know what the word is, but like, why do you think they had, or maybe you probably know the answer to this, but why such long titles?
I think it's because it's cataloged by musical forms. So, you know, lots of composers wrote sonatas and then symphonies and all those concertos. They're all different musical forms. And so depending on how many the composer writes, they then catalog it by number and form. I'm not even sure. I'm the worst person to ask.
I'm buying what you're selling, though. For somebody who's a musical Luddite like me, what's the difference between a sonata and a concerto and a... What was the other one that you said?
I don't even remember.
I don't know. But, so there's all these different forms. Can you maybe briefly just sort of talk to us about what the difference is about each of those?
So a concerto is written for a solo instrument with an orchestra backing them up. And sonatas are usually 3 to 4 movements, and it's usually song and dance. And then I learned this a long time ago, and I literally don't remember anything. So,
do you have a preference in the kind you like to play, whether it's a concerto or a sonata or?
I wish I knew how to play a concerto. I love the Rachmaninoff concertos. They're so gorgeous, but my tiny hands don't want to. They don't want to support me.
Is that something that can be developed over time, or is that just literally a skill of having small hands?
It's just you just work with what you have.
Right.
I mean, like, there is finger webbing surgery, which is terrifying to me. Like, that's disgusting.
People do that?
Yeah, that's a thing. And like, yeah. But
I have never heard of that before. Wow. Do you know? Yeah. Do you?
teacher told me about it, and I was like, "That's horrendous." And she's like, "Yeah, I made a 7-year-old cry when I told her that." I'm like,
Oh.
with good reason.
Well, if that
nasty.
doesn't scare you away from learning the piano, I don't know what would. So they literally, I guess, cut the tendons between your fingers, the skin there,
Yeah.
so that you can spread your hands wider. Wow. Okay, that's dedication. I don't know what that is. I can't even imagine that somebody would consider, like a surgeon would consider doing that today.
Even just thinking about it makes me want to scream. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
no kidding. Okay, well, thanks for that little nugget. I'll be thinking about that for some time.
Yeah, that's some nightmare fuel right
Chohee,
there.
yeah, I'll be thinking about that for some. Anytime I hear piano now, I'll be like, have you had that webbing surgery on your hands? Now I have to Google it at some point and see if there are any famous musicians that we know of that have had this done.
Oh no.
Yeah, right? Stay tuned. We've got another Chopin song coming up. This one is called Mazurka. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this piece before we have a listen to it.
I learned this one recently, and Mazurka is a Polish dance, and rather than waltzes and mazurkas typically are in 3/4 time, but in a mazurka the strong beat is on the third beat rather than the first.
Okay. So we should listen for that as we're having listened to this piece?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can pick it out. So the beat should be on the third.
Third, yeah.
The third. Okay. Let's see if we can pick that out with our ears. All right, Rick, why don't you hit play on Mazurka? Okay, I heard it.
Yay!
I heard it. You're teaching me something. I got to take piano lessons from you. Um, yeah, you can really distinctly hear where you put the emphasis on the beat. It's like I hear your hand come down harder almost
Right,
on certain parts of this melody.
right.
Yeah. How delicate a balance is it when you play to do a light touch versus a heavy touch? How much time do you spend trying to figure that out and get that sort of just perfect?
That's a really good question. I'm generally just a really like stiff person, and so my teacher's been wanting to get me to kind of loosen up more so I'm more relaxed when I'm playing. But it's so difficult. It's just like it feels so weird not playing the way I'm used to. And so it definitely takes a while to kind of learn to be more gentle when it needs to be.
What do you feel in your body when you play, Chohee?
A lot of tension, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's also kind of a mental thing where I'm like, I need to get this passage perfect. And so I'm sitting there thinking of all the things that need to happen. And so my body is really tense, and then I get nervous. And yeah, that's fun.
Okay, so a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear that in in your voice. Does that mean that when you play that causes you maybe more stress to play than it does joy, or do you find a way around that and just sort of, loosen yourself up as the piece begins, right? Sometimes as an actor, I find right before I go on stage, I get really nervous, and then once I'm in it, I can relax because my body goes, "Oh, wait a second, you know this."
Yeah.
Do you feel that way when you play?
Most times, but
Most times?
there have been times where I'll be sitting there and my pedal leg would just be vibrating. I'm like, this is fun and people can see it, so I'm just
Can you hear it when the pedal leg is vibrating? Like, does that make a different sound?
I mean, so there was one time where I was on a stage and it wasn't carpeted, so and I was wearing heels.
Right.
So my leg was shaking. You could hear the like the tapping on the stage floor, and I was like, oh goodness, that's not okay.
That's you playing some kind of percussion with your piano. You've got multiple instruments going there. I love it. Has there been a particular performance that's been really memorable for you?
Um, that's a good question, actually. I'm not sure. I haven't done enough performing to really say, but I think the Rachmaninoff piece is probably because I stressed over it for so many months, especially because like that piece has such large chords and huge like leaps, and so I was like, why did I choose this piece? Like it's so gorgeous. I just can't play it, but I was so glad when I was done. I was so relieved that.
Was that for a recital?
Yeah.
Where else do you play?
Just at retirement homes, and then the occasional in-class recital. I don't really do much performing as I'd like to.
Is there a dream? What's your dream?
The delusional one wants to be a concert pianist and play with an orchestra, and then the realistic side's like, you sure you want to do that? You're gonna be broke.
Or you could be famous. So you've been teasing us about this Rachmaninoff piece, and we are gonna play it, friends, but we're gonna wait until maybe closer to the end because Chohee's been teasing us about it, and so I'm trying to build the anticipation in the space. But the next piece we have on this list, and excuse me, I know that you are totally going to correct my pronunciation if for whatever reason I don't pronounce these things correctly, but this one is called Clair de Lune.
Yes.
And this is that Debussy?
Debussy, yeah.
Debussy, great. Anything you want to share about this piece before we have a listen to it? Why you chose it? What you like about it? Or don't like about it, I suppose. I'm making an assumption that you like everything about the songs that you play, but maybe you don't.
This is actually one of the first pieces that I ever wanted to learn that I decided, you know what, this is like one of the ones, because I heard it on my mom had a CD with an eclectic mix of piano pieces, and that was on there, and I listened to it and I was like, you know what, I really want to learn this. It's really beautiful. And then I was really happy when I finished.
How long would you say it took you to learn this piece?
I think with the practicing and everything, about 4 months.
Wow, 4 months. It's incredible when you think about how much time it takes to, 4 months to learn a phrase of music or a piece of music that's just over 4 minutes long. I suppose if you're not a musician, that may be lost on you, how long it takes to play something. My assumption is, because I'm not a musician, is that when people read music, either Braille or print music, that it's like typing out a document in that you can read it and play it. I mean, I suppose you're fine tuning as you go along, right? But
Yeah.
right. What you're doing is you've memorized all of these pieces.
Yeah.
Is that's true? That
Yes.
rings true to you?
Yep.
So it feels to me like there's a little bit more pressure to remember it, to air quotes get it right, because it's not like we have our eyeballs or our fingertips to fall back on and go, oh yes, now I'm back on track, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited about this one. This is actually one that I really like the sound of as well. So, Rick, when you're ready, let's hit play on Debussy's Clair de Lune. This is one of my favorite pieces of music because it gets played in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the most iconic ones, depending on, what age you are, what genre of movie you've been watching, was Ocean's 11 from 2001. If anybody has seen Ocean's 11, they might recall the scene or remember seeing the scene. At the very end, after the heist is over, they're all standing in front of the Bellagio Hotel with the big waterfall going up and down. And there's this lineup of these 11, I don't know what they're, the con men, I guess they are, men and women, con men. And one after the other, they split up and go into a different direction because they know after they've stolen all this money, they can't be seen together, basically. So they just break off one at a time and walk away. And this is the music that is playing to that particular scene. They also use this in the movie Twilight, or the movie series, I guess, Twilight, which is not one that I'm overly familiar with. And the newest one was Everything Everywhere All at Once from just 2022, I guess. So this piece gets used in a lot of movies, and when I looked it up, they said that Claire de Lune is a popular choice for films due to its dreamy and reflective quality, making it suitable for various emotional and dramatic moments.
Yeah.
Is that maybe one of the reasons why you chose this one?
I'd say so.
Yeah?
I just really like it. It's really lovely. And I'm so glad I can play it now. So.
Is this one of those pieces that if somebody says, hey, Chohee, can you just play something for us, that you could go right to and play?
Yeah.
Or do you need some practice first?
So I need to work on the middle section a little bit more. I haven't played it since that recital, but yeah. I could play it if people asked.
I love it. Do you ever think about the music that you're playing? This is kind of an abstract question, but as a kid, as an artsy kid growing up, anytime I played music, whether it was instrumental or had lyrics to it, I would sometimes imagine myself like in a scene of my own movie.
Yeah, me too.
to this is the soundtrack to your life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
Yeah, all the time.
What would be your favorite piece in the soundtrack of your life? You can't choose Coldplay. No, I'm just kidding. You can choose whatever you want.
That's a really good question. Really depends on the day.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think I'd probably choose a Coldplay song just because the band has such a wide range of different styles.
So there's something for every mood?
Yeah. So it really depends on the day.
What are you feeling right now?
Content.
Content? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a short phrase or a piece of a piece that you want to play that is how you're feeling right now? No, I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to, but... That's gorgeous. What's that from?
That's another Coldplay song. It's called Fly On.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I better get myself some Coldplay.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, that's a really beautiful piece, and it kind of matches perfectly what you sort of just shared with us, is how you're feeling in this moment. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. What have we got next? We've got a Brahms piece next. This is one I'm going to need your help probably pronouncing. Well, maybe not. Intermezzo? Intermezzo. Okay. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
It was the one I played for, I think it was December of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It was a class recital. And my instructor had said, "Oh, you should learn this piece. I think you do a really good job with it." And so, listened to it for a bit, and I was like, you know what, this is a nice piece, really lovely. So I kind of focused on it for about a year, and then played it at the recital, and yeah, I think it went better than I felt it. I don't know. I was so nervous.
A year is a long time to practice on something.
Yeah. I had other side projects going, but that was the main kind of focus. And then
So how do you choose the pieces that you want to learn other than the Coldplay ones? Because we already know that you're a big fan, and so that's kind of an easy go-to.
Yeah.
But is it always a recommendation? Is it something you've heard and want to learn more about? What's the process for you in terms of how you choose your music?
Usually sometimes people will make recommendations. Other times I'll just go through kind of like a playlist and listen to whatever there is and kind of decide kind of from that. And then if there's a tutorial on it, then that's great. I'll just kind of snatch it up and then listen to it for a bit and then try to learn it. Try not to get frustrated.
Try to avoid the rage play?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Try to avoid abusing my piano. Aww.
Have you named your piano?
I did. I think I named her Aelin Galathenius at one point, but I think I might change it. I don't know.
Ooh. I'm a photographer, and I've named my camera, so I think sometimes we have these nicknames. When I was driving a car, I named my car too.
Nice.
So I'm always curious about names that people give to things that have a real connection to in their lives. You spend a lot of time with your piano, so it's like we talked about with the land acknowledgement in terms of instruments maybe being like a living thing. It changes, it grows, it breathes, it lives within your body. So I think you could call it a living thing.
I think if my piano were a person, I think she'd file like charges against me. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Oh dear, you give her that much abuse, do you?
Poor thing. Oh.
How many pianos do you have?
I have this keyboard, and then I have an acoustic. I have an upright.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of different pianos out there, grand pianos and baby grands, and I couldn't tell you that I really know the difference between them other than the shape of it, but the sound of it, I don't know the difference. But I had a keyboard growing up. Yes, the musical Luddite had a keyboard. And I had my sight then, so I had because I didn't read music either. I memorized the Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge for the...
Oh, the staff, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And bought the books that had they had the musical notes, but they also had the letters of the notes.
Yeah.
And my keyboard had stickers of the letters on it.
Oh.
So that's how and then I played by ear, but nothing like no pedals, no fancy multiple fingers, none of that kind of stuff. I literally was like playing chopsticks, like with 2 fingers. But I tried really hard with no lessons because I loved the sound of it, but I never got to the level that you're at, for sure. All right, let's take another listen to something on this list. This is a French piece. Yann Tiersen is the composer, if I'm saying that correctly. And we have the English translation of the name of the song, which is Nursery Rhymes of Another Summer, The Afternoon. What do you want to tell us about this particular piece? What was it about this piece that made you choose it and learn it and play it?
I learned it purely out of spite because my dad said, "Oh, I bet you can't learn it." So he gave me a week.
Oh, challenge! And did you learn it in a week?
Yeah, it took me like 3 days.
So this is one of the air quotes easier pieces to play and learn?
It was kind of tricky to get my hands kind of coordinated because the left hand is doing one I mean, I guess that's what happens with a lot of these pieces, but there's this one note in the left hand that has to constantly be playing, and then my other fingers are doing another thing, and yeah, that's a fun challenge.
But 3 days as opposed to the other piece that you said took you a year
Yeah.
to learn. So there's, when you are learning these pieces, the time it takes for you to learn them, is that about the degree of difficulty in the piece, or is it, where you are in your life and, how interested you are in playing the piano that day, or how much practice, or all of those kinds of things? Like,
It's
why?
all those kind of things combined,
Okay.
really. Yeah.
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 Well, I'm excited to hear the challenge, because I wanna know what it sounds like to listen to a piece that's only taken 3 days for your hands to explore and master. So let's have a listen to the Yann Tiersen piece that you're gonna play for us. Rick, when you're ready, hit play. So as you pointed out, I can distinctly hear the difference between what your left hand is doing from your right hand.
Right.
And I don't think that I've ever paid attention to that before. I've never been asked to.
Right.
So the challenge to my listening ears is that I've just never clued in. Like, obviously I know that the hands are doing different things, but if you really pay attention to it, you can actually distinctly hear those two different pieces. And it is something moving forward when I listen to music. And like, everybody I invite into this space teaches me something about this stuff, and stuff that I didn't think about or know about, or just wasn't on my radar.
Right.
And this is the same. So moving forward, when I hear especially music that's played on a piano, but maybe just any instrumental music in general, I will be more keenly astute to listen to the difference in like what the left hand is doing from the right hand. And because it's very, very clear when you are asked to listen to it.
Right.
It's very cool. So 3 days. What did your dad think about this after he challenged you and then heard the result?
He just said, "Good job," and I was like, "Really? That's it?" After stressing myself out, that's okay, cool.
All you got was a good job, thumbs up?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Has he challenged you to another piece recently?
No.
Does anybody else in your family play instruments?
I know my grandfather played a bit of piano, but I don't know if he still plays or not.
So you don't have anybody you can challenge, is basically what you're saying.
Sadly, no.
I love it. I think if my parents had forced me to play the piano, and I use that word intentionally because you used it at the beginning, but if I had the privilege of learning the piano when I was growing up, that my parents would probably have given me like a piece for every occasion to learn. Like, okay, Thanksgiving is coming. We want you to learn this. Do you find yourself wanting to play or picking pieces for special occasions?
Not unless I'm told to. There have been times when, because I play on the church worship team as well, and so we have a pianist and a keyboardist, and so I play the keyboard with them. So there have been times where she'll call in sick, like last minute, and my dad's like, "Hey, by the way, can you learn this? You have 5 minutes." I'm just like,
Wow. And that's for like performance? Or is it for rehearsals?
Yeah, just for services. Yeah, just
For
like on the day
services.
of the service. He'd be like,
That's
"Oh, yeah, by the way, you have 5 minutes." I'm like, yay.
wow. That's got to be stressful.
Yeah, it's a stressful situation, but
But you're up for the challenge, it sounds like.
yeah,
Or maybe you just don't have a choice.
I really don't have a choice then. I'm
Yeah.
sitting there freaking out, but it's fine.
When you perform at the retirement homes that you were talking about, are there certain pieces that get requested there or certain pieces that you know will really relate to the audience that you have?
I think I mostly just play classical pieces because that's a lot of older people kind of enjoyed that kind of thing. So
What do you hope that people take away from you when they listen to you play?
I just really glad that I get the chance to share the music with people because it's meant to be shared. You know, if you don't have an audience, then you have no one to listen to, and so that the music. So then, what's the point? So, just really glad to be able to share it with people.
I think that's really lovely. Music is meant to be shared. I love that. So up next on our playlist, this is a short piece, but beautiful nonetheless. This is another Coldplay piece, and it's simply called Piano Cover. Does it actually have a title, or did you just call it Piano Cover?
It's I think it's written in Arabic, and the translation is Children of Adam.
Okay.
It's just a little interlude.
Okay. I'm ready to have a listen. Rick, when you're ready, hit play. Mm. I, I I like them all, Chohee. That's. I mean, there's a playlist on your YouTube channel, and we will happily send out the link to that to folks if they want to follow your whole repertoire of music, because I think you could create quite a fandom in this space as well. But this is just another really beautiful piece. Now, this is a shorter piece. Did this take you a long time to learn as well?
Um, I think 2 weeks, just with, because that was also back when I wasn't practicing as much. I'm still not practicing as much as I'd like to, but um, yeah, I think it took a couple of weeks to learn
What?
it and then perfect it.
Yeah, it's people in this space will have heard me ask this question many times, but like, when do you know it's done? When do you know the piece is done? Are you ever in a place where you're so satisfied with it you wouldn't change a thing, or is it always a work in progress?
There's always room for improvement. Um, Even if you've worked on it there's always things that, you know, if you listen back to it, you're like, you know what, I could play that a little softer or bring this kind of thing out more. So there's always room for improvement, I think.
Does it make you feel a particular way when you listen back to these recordings of your music?
Once they're posted, I tend not to listen back.
Oh, you're a true artist, just like most actors that don't want to watch themselves on screen, right? Yeah. No, I can't. I was there. I lived it. I don't need to watch it.
I don't need to watch.
I don't need to watch it. Well, we only have one more piece in this playlist to play, and of course, it's the one that we've been teasing, the Rachmaninoff one. But I'm wondering if there's anything that you want to play for us live. Again, putting you on the spot. But if there's something that you're feeling in this moment that you want to play or tease us with or share with us, work in progress, whatever, I'd love to give you the opportunity to play something.
Goodness, okay. I started learning this waltz a couple weeks ago. It's still a work in progress. So.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that one going to be played at an upcoming recital, or is this one you're just learning for fun?
Hopefully I get to play in a recital sometime. It's fun.
That's very, very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. I feel really privileged to be able to listen to you play, especially live. But it's just, I'm beaming. If you could see my face, my jaw, my face aches because I'm smiling so much. It's really beautiful to listen to. Yeah. Well, we've teased folks about this Rachmaninoff piece. You have already said that it's one of your favorites. Talk to us about this piece. I just want to know what you like about it, how you feel about it when you play it. Yeah, do a little deep dive for me.
Right. I really like the melody. It's such a lovely melody. And the cool thing about this piece is actually, because so the whole piece is, this is just a part of a rhapsody on a theme of Paganini. And it's so Paganini was a violinist, and he wrote this theme for the violin. And what Rachmaninoff did was he took part of this theme and he inverted it, so he flipped it upside down, and then so the theme is, you probably recognize the melody. So what he took was he took this part of the melody, he flipped it upside down, so then it became, he raised the minor third to a major third so that it became, and then transposed it to D flat major, which then became this. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I'm trying to imagine what you mean by flip it upside down. Like literally?
Yeah, he inverted the notes were upside down. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
So visually, if you were to see the score on a piece of paper and you literally turned the piece of paper upside down, you just play the notes in that order.
Yeah, I guess he reversed the order of the notes. It's a better way to explain it. So.
That's pretty darn fascinating. I didn't even know that was possible. But Chohee's job in the space tonight is to educate me personally on all things piano. I'm excited to listen to this. You teased us with the live version. I'm happy to play the recorded version unless you would like to play the live version.
Oh, goodness.
Totally up to you. You want to play the recorded version?
Yeah, sure. Let's
Okay.
that one.
Let's have a listen to that, Rick. This is our last piece, the Rachmaninoff piece. It's just a couple minutes long, friends, so sit back and enjoy this one. Lovely, Chohee. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Very nice.
Thank you.
Gee, that we went through 8 songs, and you spontaneously delivered a couple of them, which was really, really lovely and totally unexpected, but really enjoyed that. I want to make sure that folks in our Zoom room audience have an opportunity to ask you any questions or share any comments. I'm sure you'll get some accolades from folks in the group, because it's quite a talent. See, I already got some hands. So let's go to Ben first. Come on in, Ben.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cho?
Yes.
Cho? I am Ben, participant. What makes you happy when you play?
I just really like sharing music with people. I think it's
That's pretty good. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Looks like we have a hand from Susan. Come on in, Susan. Give Susan a moment to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, Susan. Now we gotcha.
Oh, sorry about that. New to this. Well, Chohee, thank you very much. I really, really enjoyed your playing. I particularly sort of sentimental about Clair de Lune. Just to do my little story, my dad used to play that in the evenings when he got a moment. And he really wasn't a pianist at all, but he had learned some of Clair de Lune and not much else, as I recall. But he had learned it as a teenager when he was, I think, as part of his sort of his own physio from recovering from polio. And he had, I guess, time and someone must have had a piano, and yeah, so he learned that, and I just always remember that piece because of sitting on the stairs listening to him, and you described it, Amy, as dreamy and emotional quality, and that's so true, especially when I heard it at night. So it was very dreamy. But I wanted to ask you, how much time a day do you typically spend playing the piano?
not as much as I should be. Maybe like on average like 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 hours on a good day, but I need to practice more consistently if I want to get better. So yeah.
It sounds like you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Thanks, Susan. It's really nice for you to share that story with us. It's always something that pulls at us in these almost live episodes. So I'm really happy that you shared that. Okay, we've got quite a list. We've got Megan, then we'll go to Rita, then we'll go to Karen, then we'll go to Betty. So Megan, come on in.
Okay. That was amazing playing. Oh my gosh. Oh, I haven't tried that movie. Actually, I should start watching it now. anyway, like you started when you were 3. Like, did it actually force you, or did it just kind of encourage you to play?
My mom just kind of told me, she's like, yeah, so tomorrow's your first lesson, so do that with that what you will, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I would say 4. No. But that was amazing. Like, were you born blind when this happened?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. And also, I was wondering, yeah, so many questions. So how um how do you feel now um about playing piano? Because I'm a music student myself, but not a pianist, but more like a singer, more like a singer. Actually, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good actually, especially when I played the song. Well, sang the song Mr. Paganini, mentioning the name Paganini, right?
Right.
um. Anyway, you did an amazing job. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Do you know what year that terrible thing that you were talking about? I don't know what he's saying, but do you know what year it started? That when that terrible thing happened? When that terrible surgery happening? I don't know what he's saying, but I'm just curious.
Oh, the finger webbing
The
thing.
finger webbing
Yeah.
surgery. I don't know when it started, but it was definitely a thing, and I guess people still get it done.
Oh, they just actually cut. They take out. How, okay. I don't know if he's screaming, but how did how, I don't think it's screaming. How the heck do they do that? I would want that on my fingers.
I don't
What?
know, but like, so my teacher, she
Ugh.
described it. She was like, yeah, they just cut the webbing and then they just stitch it up and it'll heal after a while. And I was
Oh,
like,
so webbing between here and here and here.
yeah,
Oh
that's
my
nasty.
god. Oh, I'd be like, ouch! Seriously? I'm in pain like afterward. Oh, okay.
Well, lucky for you, Megan, you don't have to imagine it anymore.
Oh god. Oh,
Thanks for
okay.
sharing.
You're okay. Thank you.
Okay, Rita, come on in, my friend.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to say I really, really enjoyed your performances and especially the things that you played spontaneously. That was quite interesting that you were able to do it just like that. And I guess your audio must be pretty good on at your end because normally it's kind of hard for us to get, sounds from other people's if they're playing music or something like that, it's a little bit difficult. So, but I really enjoyed it, and thank you very much. Now, speaking of horrific operations for your art, in the 18th, 19th century, early 19th century, they did something really horrible to boys with beautiful voices,
Yeah,
which was that
castration was a
they
thing.
they castrated them,
Yeah,
and so that was quite a common kind of a thing because that way they preserved their good voice.
yeah.
So people did all kinds of horrible things in the name of art, or whatever. Or so anyway, no, anyway. But thank you, thanks again.
Cute.
Thanks, Rita. Karen, come on in, Karen.
Hi, Chohee. Thank you so much. That was really, really beautiful. I really enjoyed it. You had me with tears in my eyes a few
Oh,
times. It was wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
thank you for listening.
Awesome. And Betty, come on in, Betty.
Chohee, I just want to tell you how much I really enjoyed your playing. It was wonderful. But I also have a question. I'm wondering if your sort of tension would be a bit relieved maybe if you tried some different genres in the piano for fun, like maybe some Gershwin or, um, Elton John or, different kinds of music like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, classical music is terrific, and I'm not suggesting that it's not good to play it, but I'm wondering if playing more sort of relaxing kind of music would help you, maybe find more joy and less tension in your playing. But what do you think about that?
I think a lot of the tension is just in like the physical sense.
Okay.
I'm really just generally
Oh,
just a
okay.
nervous person. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
But
don't
have you ever
have a
thought
nervous
about trying
system.
pop music?
Um, I mean, a lot of Coldplay stuff, but that's about it, really. it's always just been Coldplay and classical for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you. I just think it might be fun for you to try, something like Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. It's an amazing piece, and it's very difficult and very complicated, and I bet you could do it, but it's very different, I think, from what you've been playing, for example, or a little different anyway.
Thanks, Betty. I think that's a great suggestion. I was doing a little bit of research on some of these different surgical procedures on the hand.
Oh, no.
And, I didn't find anything particular on the webbing, although they do talk about like folks who've had arthritis and contractures and trigger fingers and those kinds of things. More of a, I guess, a rehabilitation kind of surgery to restore hand function.
Right.
I suppose I could do a little bit more digging, but that's what I found so far. Other than this teen, Daisy Yu, reconstructive surgery on a teen that was born with 3 undeveloped webbed fingers on the left hand, becomes a classical pianist. So there you go. We could dig further. I don't know. I mean, she's on the surgical website, so I assume she had surgery, but maybe she didn't. Maybe she has 3 undeveloped fingers on her left hand and she plays anyways. Who knows? But what a interesting factoid that I will be thinking about long after this episode.
Yeah, I've been traumatized since because she told me back in 2019. I remember the day too. It was in September of 2019. We'd just gotten back to classes, and I was playing something for her, and I couldn't stretch far enough. She's like, by the way, fun fact.
Nice. Well, maybe you don't have to take that as a specific recommendation, like Betty's offer for Gershwin, because I think you play just beautifully without having any surgical manipulations on your hands. But that's to my ear, so there you go. This has been a really beautiful offering, Chohee, for you to bring music to the space and fill our Wednesday evenings with joy. So thank you so much for sharing your talent and your artistry and just your spirit with us in the VocalEye space tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
I hope at some point we get to see your name in lights and have you center stage with an orchestra behind you. That would be such a beautiful dream come true. So I'm pulling for you. I'm putting that dream out into the universe. So if I'm doing it, you better be doing it. Awesome, my friend. Well, all the best to you. And maybe sometime in the future, you'll be back with some more musical stylings in the VocalEye space.
Hey.
Awesome. Have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care.
VocalEye, vocaleye.ca. Special thanks to our funders, the Canada Council for the Arts, the British Columbia Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver.